Hello, ladies and germs, and welcome back to the Brightworks, another match beyond all reason. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the classic, the well-known, the well-feared Supreme Isthmus. I know, it's one of those maps that everybody knows, everybody plays, and everybody gets sick of eventually, but every so often, we do get a replay of something a little bit cheeky going on, and today just so happened to be one of those replays, so I'm excited to share it with you, where today, spawning in the midline at the geothermal spot is our red team leader who goes by the name of Regeki. Regeki, a Cortex commander here, going to be showing us a nice little build here. Not sure exactly what we're going to be seeing, but a geothermal spot usually means a T2 transition here, so hopefully we see a nice and clean T2 transition going for wind instead of solar, which is interesting for a Cortex commander. However, that wind speed is pretty phenomenal right now, so I cannot blame at all the red commander here for making that decision. Now, all the way in the back line, our blue team hero, David Blade, going to be showing us what he's got as an Armada commander in the backline right here. Typically the tech spot for the backline right here. I would love to see a variation of this build where both players work together to get the T2 out, or where, for instance, the geothermal player... Oh, interesting. We got something interesting going on over here. We'll check that out in just a second, but I was just going to say basically a little more teamwork, because usually you have two people go tech on Supreme Isthmus. I feel like it's more efficient for one person to go tech. Yeah. Anywho, let's take a look at what's going on over here. Our Lavender player getting into the water. I don't mind it whatsoever. The water position here is very, very valuable. Obviously, taking control of this area, a couple of capital ships, they can easily ravage at least two of the bases, if not three of the bases on shore right here from this little pocket position over on the southern side of this pond. Definitely a very, very powerful start right here. It will definitely deny sea control to Trollstein here, the Tan commander. Not that it looks like Trollstein ever planned on going into a sea position. Is that metal extractor new? I think that metal extractor is new. Anyways, little changes to the map, I guess, here and there. Yeah, this mountain looks a little bit different here, too. Okay, Supreme Isthmus getting a little bit of a variety change. I'm always happy to see it. Always coming back and updating the maps to make sure that they're remaining competitive, remaining fair. As far as units on the middle of the map go, we do have a couple of ticks and a couple of rovers already out in the field here for the red team. There will be a Resbot headed out this way from Baldric, our 7 true skill, 3 chevron hero, trying to reclaim some of that juicy metal and actually succeeding quite nicely. There's a bunch of grunts following all this up right here. Looks like we're doing sort of a more greedy version of that one metal extractor grunt spam that we've seen the pros get into a whole lot recently. I like it quite a lot because obviously getting all this metal and putting it back into your bank account going to mean that you do phenomenally as far as that eco scaling goes here. Yeah, red commander forced offline right here because of these grunts running across the front, also killing a ton of scouts, which is really important, denying tons and tons of vision right here to the red team, going to mean that for the time being, yeah, it's going to be the blue team has an advantage over all of this juicy reclaim right here in the middle of the map. Now, Kebab's commander, pretty far forward right here, basically sprinting forward right now, as they've gone for the vehicle bay, which does mean, of course, that they're going to be a little bit slower to get those units out on the field and up en masse, but once they do, the mass of those units will speak for themselves. Grunts do have to be careful here. We don't want to lose them. Okay, that was a pretty good trade. Little bit of a weird engagement, but the grunts do manage to squeak by. Will they be able to take the mechs down? I don't think so. I think those incisors are going to clean them up quite nicely here. Very nicely deflected by the red team. Specifically the Maroon Commander, cleaning up the rest of those grunts right here. Now is going to be going up against Kebab. Sure, that's a lovely audio profile there. Baldric eventually stepping up to the plate here as well. Going to be going after those 4.3s. Obviously very, very powerful metal extractors. Going to be putting back a whole bunch more metal into the economies right here. Yeah, Deacon on the LLT right there, but that brings the Powder Pink Commander down quite low. Kebab and SSSSS both having trouble right here on the front lines, getting into a little bit of a scuffle. Wolverine's eventually going to blast down this LLT right here, but while we have control, I'd love to see that we're eating up all of this juicy metal. So what's the plan over here? Ah, we did go into boats. Okay, well, interesting choice here from Trollstein. About to learn how brutal the playstyle is right now from this blue team over across the map, as he's about to find 2 different colors of boats about to attack directly into this main lab here. Yeah, that dolphin suffering heavily at the fire of those missile boats, and now suddenly we have a couple of gunboats here as well. We're kind of throwing them away though. Yeah, you know what? Beautiful repair micro right there from the Tan commander. Beautifully done right there. You cannot afford to just throw units away like that. Each of these gunboats cuts 100 metal apiece. Those missile ships even more. That was some really, really nice play right there by the Tan commander. You know what? I like that quite a lot. Very, very nicely done with that dolphin control right there. We are going to go into an air constructor here as well. Going to put up some anti-air defenses and the metal extractors over here. I think these are more metal too. It feels like the metal values have certainly been tweaked. Interesting. Okay, so we're going for an early TZAR push right here from the red commander. I love to see it. The early TZAR is very, very powerful. Obviously, the TZAR extremely good at dealing with T1 spam, but also fairly good against T2 as well. So even those early T2 units we might see from a refined build, not that this is this not being that refined build that we usually see the T2 transition with. The red commander definitely going for much more of that closer to home T2 build, where we, essentially just rush out the TZAR about as quick as possible. We've seen that build essentially perfected, right? You put a little bit of build power next to the geothermal, and then you can get all the metal extractors and the geothermal all upgraded with the same build power, and you can also pump out vehicles out of anything out of your labs. Very, very powerful stuff indeed. Very well refined at this point in the game. At this point in the meta, I should say. This TZAR is going to hit like a truck. Well, I guess it's going to hit like a tank. That's a thick boy right there. There he goes. We can just latch onto this bad boy. Hold on, let me clear that real quick. And there we go. That tank rolling and strolling its way across the battlefield right here, taking cover behind the foliage. And as soon as it gets to the front, that not rapid onset, but that heavy caliber schnozzle will start spewing condensed matter projectiles directly into the face of the enemy, sending them straight to Davy Jones' locker. There's absolutely no way that these T1 units are going to be able to stand up to this as long as we keep it well microed. Obviously, the biggest threat to this TZAR at this point is going to be a couple of D-guns, but as long as we have enough chaff in the front here, a couple of pawns, a couple of grunts, a couple of medium tanks and sizers, all that good stuff, as long as we keep that in front here, this TZAR should be phenomenal. Waiting to see it. There it goes. Firing its first shot. Will connect with the commander right there. Pretty much perfect. Oh, what is that, 23 or so % off that commander's HP bar? Just brutal. The AoE explosion from that TZAR is ruthless as well. First time the blue team sees it. There we go. Takes down the LLTs immediately as well. And this is a terrible, terrible moment. You have exactly one opportunity to shut this down. With the AoE nearly taking down the commander. 0% HP left on that bad boy, and I think he will fall. Commander down to the TZAR. That's a wonderful pickoff right there. Definitely removes one of the big threats right here. Baldrick's commander, the other main threat to that TZAR right there, but as long as we keep the chaff up front, this TZAR can absolutely win this game if we don't have some sort of crazy transition immediately. T2 is up in the backline right here. We do have a couple of butlers out. I wonder if we're going to go for that wind economy. It does look like that's sort of the plan right here for David Blade. One option, certainly, that you could imagine being successful in shutting down the TZAR is going, for instance, into a spy bot, sending a spy bot forward and paralyzing it, allowing a commander to sneak up to it without going down. But there we go, a second commander falling right there. This TZAR has proved well worth its weight in metal and weighs quite a lot in metal, so that's saying something definitely. Static defense won't matter. Yeah, the TZAR's armor plating is too heavy for T1 static defense especially. Agitator, LLTs, even HLTs, all of it is going to fall. The TZAR has definitely become the king of the show here. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. This is the kind of refinement that I expect, especially out of a 47 true skill player, by the way. Well worth noting the balance of this game, right? Acknowledging that. But anyways, a 47 true skill player, I'd absolutely expect this sort of a play here, making sure to constantly keep focus on whatever we're going for. Southern Sea has been won by the red team. It wasn't contested over here, and then of course this Northern Sea is going to be a hard one to retake, 2 versus 1, despite a fabulous play in the early game. I do want to acknowledge Trollstein's beautifully played early game here. It looks like we've succeeded in fending off a couple attacks here. I see some more debris laying around over here. But this is an absolute W for the red team right now. The TZAR needs to be addressed. We are sending commanders forward right here, but I think it's just too late. The front line has already fallen. As soon as these 4.3s come up and online right now, yeah, that's going to be all she wrote. Ben, the bassist, getting a little overeager. Those LLTs still hurt quite a lot against those commanders. Do have the build power desperately trying to keep the exploiter alive right there. Not gonna work though. The TZAR is too powerful, and away it goes. Oh, got a cloak. Gago not cloaking the commander, just moving it up to the front right there. 69% HP, and that is quite nice. Nice for the red team, that is, as it slowly crumbles, well, rapidly crumbles away. That Lavender commander taking heavy hits, 20%. Yeah, about 18%. That was a non-direct hit, though. I want to say it's about 20, probably 21% damage that TZAR does per shot right there. And that'll be its third commander kill. 54 kills on this single TZAR. My goodness. That is a masterclass in how to effectively utilize those super heavy T2 Cortex tanks. Now even going to be blasting away some frigates over here. Obviously very efficient. Anytime a land unit can kill a naval unit in a efficient manner. Very, very efficient. Efficient because it's efficient. Not a great explanation there. I just mean that there's not a lot of T2 units, or especially T1 units, that can effectively deal with their same tech level of Navy. So when you get a ZAR on the field and you enable that really efficient T1 to T2 transition, or trade-off rather, yeah, it can be quite powerful. Going for a Cerberus here, that's to make sure that the entire base doesn't explode as soon as this thing gets bombed to high hell. I'm not sure it's really going to matter though, because there's about 4 fighters out on the world right now for the blue team. No bombers as far as I can tell right here. We're going for a very strange eco pattern here. We're going for mass T1 eco and then mass wind turbines. It's a viable economy strategy. It kicks off really, really hard and especially starts your exponential growth with the aphises really, really quickly, like exceptionally quickly. However, it also takes longer to get there. So you can put yourself in a position to start your exponential growth a whole lot quicker, but you also put yourself in a position where you're not going to contribute units until about the, maybe 15-minute mark is when you're going to really start kicking out enough metal and energy to really produce anything. If your front line can hold, it's wonderful. Not the case here, though, as this ZAR has completely dismantled it. Are we repairing right here? This commander should definitely just be a glorified resbot, keeping the ZAR alive. It is the only thing that matters at this point. Now we watch the Seafoam Green commander's base being blasted asunder right now by a very, very clean ZAR play. No hope left. Well, we're gonna try and degen a couple of these here. Yeah. No hope left for the Seafoam Green. Getting all my colors confused today. That's nothing new. Wind turbines falling right now. Do we have an address for the ZAR? Sharpshooters, also viable as well. We're going for sprinters, which are absolutely not the counter for the ZAR. They're, well, kind of the counter. It's they're a soft counter in the sense that they can kite around the ZAR and sort of get the jump on it, but the ZAR has so much HP that it can essentially withstand it. I think 2 sharpshooters would probably be the best option here. Just start blasting away at these things as quickly as possible. Not going to be the case, though. 1.7 in a predicament here. Soaking up those ZAR shots, and boom goes the Green Commander. Whistlers here actually really important, contributing tons and tons of line of sight. So we have a radar jammer. We don't actually have a radar truck. Means that the line of sight here is all based on... Oh, going for a degen right there. Somebody go ahead and let Bend the Bases know that that's been changed quite a long time ago. 2 silver chevrons on this ZAR right here, though. My goodness. 108 kills in total, and I have a feeling it's only going to keep going up. Finally, the sprinters are pulled. Shuriken sent in as well. The missile trucks have eventually been dealt with, and it does mean that the Shuriken are now free to jump on top of this, finally dealing with that hero ZAR. But already, finally going down with 109 kills behind its belt. That is a ZAR well worth its medal right there. Beautiful, beautiful play from the red team. It's going to be miraculous for the blue team to come back from this. That is a tremendous amount of damage that they managed to do here, wiping out the entire front line as well as one of the frontline players completely, and then one of the backliners here who actually left the game and handed over all those units to the blue commander. Hovercrafts. Interesting. Okay, well, we're going to go for hovercraft here for the green commander. The reason we don't see hovercraft all too often is they kind of suck. Yeah. Unfortunate as it is, the hovercraft are not particularly efficient. They don't do particularly well against Navy units. They are all right against land-based units. They sort of only have the advantage of being able to cross between water and land. If they can't take that advantage, though, they're pretty much worthless. That is a problem. T2 air up in the sky, by the way, here for Svintranet. Sure, I butchered that, but either way. Couple of Nighthawks up there. Actually, more than quite a couple. We've actually got quite a few Nighthawks up here. 14 Nighthawks in total. Those are the T2 Cortex fighter planes, and they're very good. Especially compared to the T1 that we have in the sky right now for our purple commander. Just a couple of Valiants. Nothing super special. Finally, we are getting some T2 up eventually. But again, very, very behind the curve right now. It's the difference a little bit of experience makes. It's not a tremendous difference, but the scaling basically starts you off a little bit quicker, and you end up a little bit higher up on the ladder, and eventually that exponential growth, you end up way higher over your relative opponent, just with a little bit of efficiency, just a little tweak here and there. It's little things, knowing when to reclaim something, knowing when is a viable time to, eat something or not eat something. all that sort of stuff. Now we went for the resurrect here, which is actually quite cool. We've resurrected the Czar, but it's going to be up to Jarhead here, leader of the Jarhead clan, to send this Czar forward and try and get some damage done with it. Obviously, the Czar not going to be as impactful as, say, against a T1 composition here, but certainly still valuable. I mean, Mauser are particularly vulnerable to the kinds of force that a Czar can apply. Rapid onset and concussive, to name a few. A decoy commander sent forward here. Interesting, okay. Love to see some unique strategies, always and forever. Baldric apparently going to be showing us some of those. Now, fighter pull is tremendous. Bombers on the way, but this is beautiful fighter control. Actually stupendous. Yeah, the fighters have been dislodged from the bombers here. It means the purple fighters can actually jump on top of the bombers. A little bit of a misplay right there from the yellow commander, who was definitely expecting a little bit of a richer target over here to aim for. The wind turbines obviously a little bit difficult to prioritize because they're so spread out. The energy converters, though, certainly making up for that by being extremely easy to detonate. All said and done, not a tremendous amount of damage. The decoy commander here, lying in wait for the perfect opportunity. I wonder what we're gonna do. Okay, it's a capture command. I love this play. Yeah, we're gonna go... We will go for a capture command on an enemy bomber. How cheeky. How cheeky indeed. All of this possible because there is no radar coverage here. Oh, okay, away it flies. Unfortunate. 35% of the way through. Capture commands based entirely off of your build power available, so more decoy commanders means faster captures. Just something to keep in mind. My goodness, look at this. Trollstein in the background here, ravaging the northern lane. Beautiful, beautiful Navy control has actually shut down not one but two different players here. Now granted, Gago3516, who did get into the Navy originally, actually left the Navy to get back into land here, built a couple of Sheldon and sent them forward. All that's really fine and dandy. So, you know, one and a half players maybe we'll say in the Navy field, but either way, winning that is a tremendous boon to the red team right now. This Northern Sea was a huge gambit that the blue team was relying on winning, and the fact that they had to divert so many forces back to the front line because of that Czar, which, by the way, has remained idle here for a good long while, means that they weren't able to contest that sea as harshly as they were probably expecting to. That, as well as some fabulous naval control, has meant that Trollstein actually is going to take the common W up on the high seas. Beautiful stuff. We do have a decoy commander continuing to move in. There we go. A little capture command on the construction turret there. Try and have himself a little feast of construction turret. How hilarious is that? The commander does actually have a D-gun. It's a fake D-gun, so it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it does still do a decent amount of damage. So it is actually worth going for. You can technically D-gun stuff to make a difference. Not a huge amount of damage, but enough that it's well worth going for. It also doesn't cost as much energy as a regular D-gun does. A couple of poison arrows peeking their heads out, sort of the Cortex counterpart to the turtle, except if the turtle was good. These are the turtle if it was good. That's the poison arrow. And as you can see, it fires a very high projectile, high damage projectile. Pardon me. Blasting away these sprinters fairly easily. Yeah, nice AOE on it too. Means that eventually, well, it will be cleaned up. It takes most of those sprinters down with it and wipes out an entire base for its trouble. So there you go. Beautiful, beautiful play right there from the red commanders. The maroon commander specifically, Sheep Saliva. It's a terrible, terrible name. It's a wonderful name, but it's a terrible thing to imagine. Doing a fabulous job with those poison arrows, swimming their way across the seas that have been fabulously contested here by the Tan commander, and putting the hurt on the backline right here, economy of the blue team. At this point, it's going to take something miraculous indeed in order to come back. We have quite a few constructors over here, a grand total of 25 constructors. My goodness, nearly 3,000 metal worth of constructors just hanging out over here. Working on a couple of T1 labs, going to start spamming stuff out. I guess we're opting for constructors over construction turrets. Not the end of the world by any means, but a little bit interesting. Just a variation of otherwise standard play. But I don't think it would take much to convince anybody that the blue team is definitely on the losing foot here. Red players moving in imminently as more and more units are being handed backwards towards the blue player. We'll go ahead and speed this up right here as we watch. Finally, that TZAR gets some action. There we go. It was resurrected ages ago, but it finally gets to start firing away. If this TZAR had moved forward and done some damage as those early Mauser were coming out, I think it absolutely could have maybe tipped the scales back towards the blue team's favor, but not the case right here. It was mismicroed or not microed at all. And that does mean that the red team claims victory with an epic TZAR rush. I love to see these really precise, well put together builds, oftentimes because it means that I get to go emulate them in matches as well. And I sure hope you take advantage of that luxury too. Always excited to watch the bar community grow and develop metas together. Sure hope you have a great day, and I sure hope to see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.